Stand-up desk. Magic. See ya in two and two. All right, you guys. How's my amazers doing? Hope you're doing amazing today. I'm looking out and I'm seeing the sun for the first time in like a week. It's going away tomorrow. Where's the weather? What's the weather like where you're at? I'm sure it's wild and crazy wherever you're at. But welcome to day 17, man. We're on the home stretch, or at least we're over the big hump, So hopefully all of these things are beginning to soak in. You're kind of seeing how all this stuff's kind of building on each other and how it's all kind of working in a beautiful harmonic concert with each other. And today, 17, I think this is going to be kind of a quick one today because you've had three versions of this email. You had the one that was mistaken on Monday, and then hopefully you got the normal day 17 one today. And then I was also so inspired, so I sent it out to my whole list, which you're probably on that as well, too. So hopefully you're getting the message that motivation, I believe, is kind of a myth. So today we're talking about kind of the motivation myth. So if you have any comments, questions, and it doesn't have to be related to this, it can be anything. So just ask me anything, and I'll take a stab at it. Or, our community will take a stab at it. So throw that in the comments. And again, if you don't know this gets you points. And it doesn't have to be, you can say, "Hi, Chris." That gets you 2 points. And then if I say hi back and you say, "How you doing?" You've just got your 4 points of comments for the day. So we see how easy it is to rack up 4 points every day just by commenting and encouraging your fellow amazers. And if you post something, you get 5 points. If you do some of these random challenges, you can get anywhere from 5 to 15 points. And so far, so good. You guys are doing a lot of them. And so if you saw yesterday, I kind of got the Excel spreadsheet kind of line up, and we're starting to kind of separate the wheat from the chaff in terms of points. So you guys got a good shot of winning a prize if you continue to be involved. And there's a lot of time left. So if you haven't been, if there's a 0 next to your name, or if you're only like, you got 6 points and you're thinking you're a loser, no, you can lap everybody really, really quickly. I think one of the last challenges, like a 50-pointer. So, I mean, yeah, you can make up a lot of ground by just doing a couple of these things. So I encourage you to keep being involved and don't peter out. Just because we're past the halfway mark, man, this is just we're just getting into high gear here. So continue to be involved and rack up points, not just for you, but just you will be more engaged with the material. And we'll talk about that a little bit today because it relates. So in terms of getting motivated, I mean, how many of us, and guess what, folks, I still do this myself, just wait around for motivation to hit, especially when it comes to working out in my case, but maybe it's for whatever new kind of habit that you're trying to create for yourself. Maybe it's just staying away from the key lime cookie, or maybe it's eating a nutrient dense meal. Maybe it's de-emphasizing carbohydrates, and maybe it's prioritizing proteins and fats. Whatever it is that you're trying to kind of do and kickstart your body and your brain and your lifestyle into, that you just run into these roadblocks and you're like, I just not feeling it today. How many times have we said that before? Just not feeling it. And if we're really honest with ourselves, a lot of times when we're sitting around feeling it anyway, we don't do it anyway, right? And so when you're waiting around for kind of motivation to hit, usually it's too late. For instance, and I always think about this in terms of the super workout, that's what I call it, or the ultra workout, or the uber workout. So you're like, man, you step on the scale and you're like, man, that is not a good answer. I did not want to see that. So, it's better pay the piper now. So you're heading off to the gym and you're like, okay, I'm motivated. I am feeling it today. I'm going to get this done. And so you do a super workout to kind of make up for lost time. So rather than just doing maybe like a quick little 10-minute, you just kill yourself. And it feels good while you're doing it. You're like, yeah, I've been sitting on my butt for too long, and it's about time that I get into high gear. And so you do like a super workout. You go through every single machine at the gym, and you spend 45 minutes on the treadmill, and then maybe you get in the hot tub. Well, you can't do that anymore because of COVID. I guess COVID spreads in hot tubs and saunas and things like that. But you don't talk about it. So you spend like a couple hours at the gym, you feel really proud of yourself, and then the reality sits in. And usually the reality happens while you're on the couch 2 hours later just going, that was a terrible idea. Your muscles were so sore. And then you wake up the next morning and the soreness has intensified by tenfold, and you can't walk, you can't breathe. It's just like, man, now you're trying to like work up more motivation to go back. And now you're remembering, okay, now I've got all these like pain sensors fired off. Like, I don't want to do that again. So a lot of times motivation it's usually too late. And so what you don't want to do is kind of just wait around for motivation to strike for you to do something and challenge yourself, because first of all, you're going to be waiting around forever. It hardly ever comes. And second of all, it's usually too late. And third of all, it's just like it's bad for sustainability. It's not going to help you sustain these small little changes. And that's why I'm all about the small. Hopefully that when you signed up for 30 Days to Amaze, maybe you were expecting it was going to be like a challenge. And I think I even marketed it that way, that this is going to be a 30-day challenge. And maybe this has been challenging, but hopefully you've been a little bit underwhelmed. Be like, man, this is not as hard as I thought it was going to be. This is kind of simple. This is kind of easy. This is kind of effortless. And that's by design. That's kind of my niche, guys. It's just like, I want to make the smallest, most incremental changes in our lifestyle and just build those on top of each other. That's kind of my whole philosophy. I think for me, that's the only thing that works for sustainable, lifetime, forever kind of lifestyle change. You can make a lot quicker, more drastic health and fitness goal lifestyle changes in a shorter amount of time, but it involves a lot of pain, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of suffering, a lot of agony, a lot of misery, and you're making everyone around you the same way. They're miserable, they're suffering, they're sacrificing, all because you're trying to, get highly motivated. And so I think a better approach is just like, hey, let's just do these things slow. Let's like not burn out, like just the kind of marathon mentality to make these changes last for a lifetime. So in terms of motivation, there's that quote that I put in the email by Dr. Russ Harris. I don't know who that person is, by the way, but I thought this quote was great. Call it the motivation trap. If we wait to feel motivated before we take action, if we're always waiting for motivation to hit, you're going to be waiting around for quite a long while. So you don't want to wait around for motivation. It's a myth. And it's a myth to think that you'll do something to get motivated, that you have to feel it first. And by the way, I believe that we are made, this is how we're made as human beings, is that feelings are the driver in our life. Okay, so emotion is what drives us. All right, and emotion can usually be, well, it can be a lot of things, but I always try to okay, what's the emotion I'm feeling right now? Is it fear? Is it anger? Is it happiness? So whatever one word emotion I can put on it, that's going to be the driver in my life. And it's probably the driver in your life too. That emotion and feeling is the thing that drives us. Okay, so in that sense, the motivation myth is not a myth. It's like we are driven by feelings. But here's what comes before feelings is our thoughts. This is how I believe we are hardwired by God / nature / universe, however you define that, is that we always feel after we think. And you know this to be true. I'll give you a couple examples. Is that, have you ever seen a scary movie before? What's the scariest movie you ever saw? Put it in the comment section. Just tell me your scariest movie you ever saw, and that'll get you 2 points. For me, it was probably The Shining. Looking back on it now, if I watched it today, I would probably think that's like dumb and not that scary. But when I saw that as a teenager, I'm like, that is the scariest movie I've ever seen. I was watching it at my friend Andy's house. I was in high school, and I remember driving home from Andy's house. We were watching The Shining in his basement on a Betamax, and driving home, and I kept looking in the rearview mirror for these two creepy girls that were in The Shining. Totally freaked me out. And that lasted about a month. That I was just like, every time I got in the dark, I was thinking about those two creepy girls and wondering if they're going to come out and, slash me with knives or something like that. And the more I look back on that, like I was feeling the emotion of fear. Okay, so I'm feeling fear, and emotions are weird. They kind of predictably respond to whatever we put inside of our heads. They don't just happen by themselves. So what was going through my eye gate in my ear gates to bring about the emotion of fear by watching The Shining? It was watching The Shining. It was watching, I was in a quiet, safe, suburban household at my friend's house watching this. No harm was coming to me. I never actually saw a real, shining ghost. That never happened to me, but my emotion of fear had no idea whether that was truth or reality, right? I'm just putting things in through my eye gates and my ear gates, and my brain is interpreting that as fear, and I'm feeling the emotion of fear, and fear controlled me. So that's why our thought life is so much more, I wouldn't say it's more important, but it's a precursor to what you're feeling, okay? So whatever you're feeling, if you're feeling fear, what are you thinking? You're thinking fearful thoughts. If you're feeling the fear or feeling angry, have you ever felt angry before? You probably weren't sitting around thinking a bunch of nice thoughts and just pleasant thoughts about the person who wronged you. If you're angry, you're probably just thinking of all the bad stuff that person has done to me and mistreated me, and then you're thinking about all the cruddy things that your boss is going to do to you tomorrow, and you're getting even more mad. So that's how mad works. That's how anger works. It's like it doesn't just kind of come by itself. It's from what we put in our heads, the kind of thoughts that we entertain around certain circumstances. And so our thought life is really, really important. So bringing this all back to kind of like motivation, if we want to feel motivated, what it starts with is an idea in our head. All right, so the idea that I want us to get across today, the thing that I want us to, and maybe you need to write it down, but it's the best sort of motivational quote I've ever come up with. And I mean, I didn't come up with it. I stole it from Joe Rogan the first time I heard it, but then I traced it to Woody Allen. I don't know if he made it up. I don't know who coined it originally. Woody Allen was the first one I could find, or the oldest one I could find, but 90% of it is showing up. And by the way, I'm not a big fitness health meme guy. I don't really like the sort of memes that, try to get you motivated for the day. No pain, no gain, or something like that. There's so many of these like lame old fitness and diet platitudes that are supposed to help us, but that only helps us in the short run. That doesn't help us at all in the long run and build any kind of sustainable habits, in my opinion. It's never worked for me, at least. I read a meme and I got my butt to the gym. Maybe one day, but not for a lifetime. No way. But That quote, 90% is showing up, is really stuck with me because, man, that is so true in my life. And it's probably true in yours as well, too. Is that, let's just talk about workouts for instance. Like, man, if I don't want to work out, or I don't want to do something that's going to stretch me or challenge me or give me any kind of discomfort or pain, I am just such a good lawyer. I should have been a lawyer. I really did miss my calling because I can argue myself into something or out of something. I can come up with all sorts of reasons not to do it or all sorts of reasons to do it or to avoid any kind of pain. It's usually, most of the time, it's like I'm just looking at my to-do list for the day. I'm like, yeah, just too busy. I am so important. I've got so many important things to do that if I don't do those things, the world will crumble and things won't get done. And so I really just don't have time to prioritize my workouts or do any kind of self-care for me because I've just got so much important stuff to do. Hope you sense the sarcasm in my voice. That has very little to do with it. But I try to tell myself, no, if I'm honest with myself, I just don't want to do it. Or if I say that I don't have time, I mean, that's such BS. We all have the same amount of time. We're not so busy. It's just not a priority for us. And by the way, try that on for size. Just say, instead of skipping a workout today because you got so much to do, just say out loud to yourself, hey, Chris. Say it to yourself in your own words, but I would say it to myself going in the third person. Hey, Chris, yeah, exercising is just not a priority for you today. And see how that kind of feels. See how that kind of sets in. That feels a lot different than I'm like, I'm just too busy, or I don't have enough time, or the weather is bad outside. It's not 80 degrees and it's not sunny. Ugh, better hunker down. I mean, if I say no, exercise is just not a priority for me today, that gives a lot more responsibility and ownership and self-accountability in that area. But then here's what I got to realize. I got to realize that 90% of this is up here, right? Most of the time when I don't want to work out, for instance, it's because I'm sitting around thinking about all the reasons not to work out, all right? And so are you like that as well too? I mean, I'm just thinking, I just don't want to do it. And so I'm thinking about why it's not a good idea. And I know it's going to be a good idea. And I know that after the workout, I'm going to feel better. I'm going to be so glad I did because I've never once in the thousands of workouts I've probably done, I've never, ever, ever once said, man, that was a bad idea and I wish I didn't do it. I mean, not the ultra stupid workout, but I'm talking about just normal kind of working out where it's awesome for me and makes me feel good. That is the kind of workout where I'm I've never regretted, not once. And so I know that's going to happen, but I still argue my way out of it. So if I can remember this quote, 90% of it is just showing up. All right, Chris, 90% of the battle is in your mind, okay? So you might be feeling the emotion of unmotivation. What are you doing? You're thinking probably a lot about stupid, unmotivated thoughts. And if I can be thinking 90% is showing up, that's telling my soul, my heart, that 90% of it's showing up, that the battle, that most of it is going to come from just showing up. And then the workout itself is going to be relatively easy. So I got to do a workout today. It's Wednesday and it's on my calendar. And I've got a really, really busy day. And so am I going to do it or not? If I sit around and argue and lawyer myself out of it, yeah, I can come up with a lot of good reasons. But if I say, you know what, 90% of it's just showing up. If I just put on some workout clothes, I've already done 90% of it. Seriously, it's that simple for me. And probably is for you too. If I just get in my car and drive to the gym if it's still open, that's 90% of the battle. The 10%, that's pretty easy to get out of your car and just go to the gym. I ran into this lady at the gym and asked her what her sort of workout motivation was. And she says, yeah, if I just made it a rule to drive to the gym. But if I got to the gym parking lot, I gave myself permission to leave. So all I got to do is drive there. So I think that's a great strategy. So just if gym is something that you like doing and helps keep you in line, but you don't really like going, or maybe it's hard to go, just give yourself permission. I'm just going to drive there. That's all I'm going to do. That doesn't take much effort. So just drive to the gym, and once you get in the parking lot, you can choose to go back home, or you can choose to go to Dairy Queen, or you can choose to come home or something like that. But every single time this lady did this, it's hey, well, I've driven here. I might as well just get in there and do the workout. And the workout was relatively easy compared to the stupid 90% of the time where we were spending just stressing about it or fretting about it or trying to argue ourselves out of it. If you just show up, I mean, even if it's just the simple movement, the walking, if you just step out your door, you've done 90% of it. If it's cold outside, I just put on some great clothes that are going to help me brave the elements. I've done 90% of the work. And the walking is, for me, it's just easy. That is so easy, but I'm sitting there like maybe under the covers going, I just don't want to go today. I'm just going to skip today. No big deal. And it might not be a big deal, but I just got to continue to say that 90% of it, most of the battle is in my head. And if I just show up, the rest of it is actually pretty easy. So I think I'm going to give you some other examples, but that's about it. So hopefully that gave you some things to think about in terms of just workout motivation or health and nutrition motivation or whatever kind of motivation. It doesn't just apply to health. Just think about it in any aspect of your life. Just like don't wait around to feel like doing something. Feelings always come after what you put in your head. And that's why it's so important for us to guard our minds and what we're putting in. And the self-talk that we have to ourselves, we're pretty harsh with ourselves. So first of all, exercise a lot of kindness and a lot of grace when you're talking to yourself. If you talk to yourself, if other people talk to you the way that you talk to yourself, you probably would not have that person as a friend. They might come to fighting words, but we just allow ourselves to talk to ourselves in just horrible, demeaning, degrading ways. Like, oh, Chris, you're such a loser. Why can't you be better at this? It just goes on and on. And guess what? When we do that, when we talk to ourselves that way in our own voice, you can imagine what happens to our feelings and what happens to our emotion. We feel like a loser. We feel like we're never going to accomplish anything. And this is different and deeper than just positive talking or positive thinking. I'm not really a fan of that label, but it is so true that our feelings are predicated by what we put in our head, what we think on, what we choose to allow our brains to be camped on. So think positive thoughts, think good thoughts. Later on, we'll talk about crafting a mantra for yourself. And so that's a great way to just say, hey, here's a phrase that's going to, that I'm going to repeat over and over to myself. So the more I say it to my lizard brain, the more it's going to be rooted in my heart and my soul and the way I'm going to feel like that. So, stop telling yourself, I'm not healthy. Because how are you going to feel? You're going to feel not healthy. Stop telling yourself that you're a loser for not getting this stuff quicker. You're going to feel like a loser. How do you reframe that? Say, you know what? Even if you're not like the perfect picture of health, and none of us are, how about if you say, you know what? I'm an amazer. I joined 30 Days to Amaze, so I'm an amazer. You're going to start to feel amazing. Or what if you said, that's kind of a cheesy example, but what if you said, I'm a healthy person who's learning what it means to be healthier. I'm on this journey of health and I'm discovering more ways and more secrets to be healthy. That's the behaviors of a healthy person. Say that, try that on, see how that feels. Then you're going to start to feel like a healthy person. And again, feelings are the driver of this. If you feel like a healthy person, that's going to drive you to more health momentum. If you feel like you're not a loser, you're going to act in ways that are not loser-like. Does this make sense? It's very, very simple, okay? So make sure whatever you're feeling, you're thinking, okay, well, these are the thoughts that are producing that kind of feeling. I want to make sure that I'm really guarding my thought life, that I'm not talking smack to myself. I'm not throwing shade, as the millennials will say, at yourself, that you are speaking to yourself with truth and with grace. And what's going to happen from that? You're going to start to feel truth. You're going to start to feel grace, and it's just going to motivate you more and more. And again, you don't have to wait around for motivation to happen. You just begin to go to the gym. You start to exercise like a healthy person. You start to pattern your life in the kind of life that you want to create for yourself. All right, so you start eating in a way that's self-honoring. You start going to a gym. You start going for walks. You start doing movement. You start doing some strength exercises. You start prioritizing sleep. You start beginning to do all of these things, and now you're beginning to feel not just physically better, but I think even on an emotional and soul level, you're beginning to feel like, yes, this is who I am now. I have this identity as someone who is healthy. And again, you might not be 110 pounds or, 0% body fat. I mean, none of that stuff realistic, but I'm just saying, like, you might not look in the mirror and say I'm the picture perfect health, but none of us are, right? None of us are that. But again, as you just begin to change your thinking with that, as you begin to say, hey, these are the habits of healthy people, I'm going to work on those, I'm going to practice those, I'm going to do these over and over and tell myself these are the practices of a healthy person. You are going to begin to feel like that, and that feeling will drive you to more and more and more health. You see how that momentum starts to really get rolling? All right. Let me read what Kevin wrote. Kevin wrote, once I'm motivated enough to put on my sneakers, the walk is on. It's always harder to do in the head than is just start the walk. So I'm glad I'm not the only one on this, Kevin. Yeah, it's just, I just put on the sneakers. I just put on the shoes. I just put on gym clothes. And that's like the hardest part. You wouldn't think it would be, right? But that's the little mind games we play with ourselves. Kevin said, also changing my walking routes helps breaking up the monotony. Yeah, everyone's different in that way. I'm a little bit more monotonous. I don't know why that is, but I can't do the same thing forever. But, that's, if monotony is really hard for you, like if you go on the same route or route, however you say it, and it's just like, man, this is really getting old fast. Yeah, change it up, man. If you need constant change, if you need a different workout every single day to keep you going, do that. If you need the same thing to do every single day, do that. Okay, there's no hard and fast rules and regulations around the right way or the wrong way to do that. Just I heard it put this way, like the best exercise is the one that you'll do for the rest of your life. That kind of makes sense, right? So all these people that want to argue like the best and most effective exercise, and I even do that too. I talk about the most efficient fat burning exercises if that's a goal for you. But if do what you're gonna, whatever you can do to sustain, whatever you enjoy doing the most. If that's just getting some gentle movement around, if that's playing basketball, if it's whatever you do that's enjoying, that's the name of the game. That's the thing that's going to help you and keep you doing what you need to do for sustained for the rest of your life. Because that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about some kind of like boot camp. 30 days to amaze is not 30 days of like, let's like pump iron. And then after that, glad that's over. No more of that. I mean, what if we just were able to slowly build some of these practices and find out what we enjoy? I mean, I never thought that I would enjoy walking as exercise. It just seemed like so boring, but man, I love it now. But and I'm going to do that for the rest of my life. That's God willing. That's what I plan to do for the rest of my life. Every single day for the rest of my life is to walk and get movement in. And so that's something I'm going to do for the rest of my life. It's not just because I'm doing some 30-day challenge or something like that. Josh said, forgiving yourself is very important. You darn right it is. I really don't want to like get all religious and funky on you and something like that, but I'm a Christ follower, and so I kind of pattern my life after. I try to pattern my life after what God wants me to do and how Jesus modeled his life. And so if I've lost you so far, I really don't want to talk about religion very much, but I'll say this, is that I believe that God has forgiven me and forgiven the sins of the whole world. Okay, that he's forgiven me for every mistake and for every shortcoming that I've ever done, that I'm doing right now, or that I ever will do. Totally wiped out. And I think about that. Sometimes I don't forgive myself for something I have done or for I haven't done. And then I have this reality of like, you know what? Hey, Chris, do you have higher standards than God does? Because God has forgiven you for everything you've ever done and ever will do. Why are you beating yourself up? And why are you so hard on yourself? Do you have higher standards than the Almighty? And I don't. So anyway, that was my little like preacher rant for the day. But I don't have higher standards than God. And so forgiving yourself, whether you're a religious person or not, I don't consider myself a religious person. That word religion means return to bondage. That's not something I'm too excited about at all. But, if you're a spiritual person or if you're not a spiritual person, make sure that you're forgiving yourself. You don't have higher standards. You need to have, I shouldn't say lower standards for yourself, but make sure that you're being kind and gracious to yourself. Because you know what? If I thought the other was a great motivator, if I thought self-condemnation was a great motive for change, I would say beat yourself up, folks. beat yourself up, because that will get you to change. If I thought that would work, I would tell you to do that, but I know it doesn't. So it's not good for you, your brain, your soul, or your body. Nancy said, so true. I put earbuds in, turn music on, and take off on the halls and stairways. Keeps me moving. Yes. Yeah, so whatever you can do to enjoy it. I mean, I can't. I love you said that, Nancy. I can't. When I say can't, I don't. But I have to have these things in, because I just enjoy the walk exponentially more. The only time I don't have it is like when I'm in some like nature hike in the mountains and I want to just kind of soak up some new scenery. But I'm going on my boring old walk around the neighborhood with the dog, and dog pooping in the same spot and peeing on the same fire hydrants. It gets kind of old and boring. But you know what? What I got going through here is different every single day. For some people, it's music. I listen to people talking in rooms. That just kind of does it for me. So whatever you got to help you. And a lot of it is just, it's so cool that we can bring around these mobile computers with us that are stronger than any and more powerful than any supercomputer in 1969 in the whole world. So yeah, we have access to anything we want right now. Any kind of, yeah, if you're like a treadmill person and you want to watch movies, that's cool too, right? Anything that's going to help you just not make it feel like exercise. By the way, when I go like into a sauna, it's like 30 minutes just sitting there and baking. I always bring my phone in there and watch stupid videos, or, watch some Netflix. It always makes the time go by. Sometimes I'll read, but for the most part, I just want to do something that gets me not thinking of the agony that I'm in. So Nancy, I'm so glad that you're doing that and continue to do that. Doing halls and stairways, good for you. That's really good when, maybe outside is less of a, it's hard for a lot of people to be outside right now because of the way below freezing temperatures and all that kind of stuff. So I'd say, hey, bundle up. And if you can't bundle up, and if you can find some ways to get creative movement in, like stairs and hallways, you do that. So, all right. I think I made it under 30 minutes. I'm so proud of myself. Let me see if there's anything in the YouTube. YouTubers are a lot quieter. But hey, thanks again for showing up today and for dispelling this motivation myth with me. So I will look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad